goes way back. Is that the same as the one from the LGBT community? Anyway. Philadelphia Latino and Film Festival. Cinespeak, Night Catches Us, Blowout. Oh, BlackStar Film Festival, it says right in the middle. So they have an LGBT film festival also. I think they still put it on. They had a documentary called The Itty Bitty Titty Committee for all the feminist women out there who need to learn how to stand up for themselves, you know their rights and fight for them and not play into the patriarch in the hands of those who further oppress by keeping women silent and super sweet. Even though I like to sound sweet, but I do know that if someone challenges something that goes against the rights of anyone, but particularly women, I will have a little episode, a little flip out session of, I don't think so. It's hard for me to be around. There's a reason I probably didn't wind up in relationships. You know, the types of people that I would have found, meaning the circles I grew up in, mostly consist of men who are used to oppressing women. That's not everyone. I would say at my age, my generation, and where I grew up, these are the men who would come along. For whatever reason. And I would wind up having a flip out session. I think part of it is I was a very quiet person. I didn't talk a lot. And some men gravitate towards quiet people. Because they are hoping that you'll be a little bit easier to handle. So for this, there are a lot of men who don't want super woman, super empowered, you know. But it always bubbles up. If a guy behaves a certain way, I will flip out like no one's business. So as a result, single, you know. I did wonder for a long time, like, why can't I do the Bride magazine thing? What's the problem? Like, what is it? Why am I so different? I can't stand that everybody needs to get Bride magazine and look at all that. I hated that. So then here in Philadelphia, I, discovered, the Gayborhood, and the L Word was on, and the L Word made me feel better as a person. I actually loved watching the L Word, which was on Showtime. I'm like, this is way better. So then I was like, oh, maybe I'm a certain type of person who cannot, anyway, went through a whole very long time sort of identifying with that world. I identify with nothing at this point in time because of how bad my experience is. So we will keep our lips sealed because I'm not sure why things unfolded and why I was attacked in my apartment. Hard to explain what this was. And then harassed ever since. I have no idea what caused it, who's involved, why they did it, but as a result, I don't need a box to check on any form. In fact, there were a lot of people who fought for boxes to check, like when filing taxes. They want to be able to check trans person. On one hand, I agree. On the other hand, I would say, no, don't check any boxes, because you could get targeted. And it's not pretty at all. If you get targeted in the worst, don't identify as anything. And in a way, there's freedom in never identifying as anything. Why do we have to have a category? Why do we have to fit a box? So, anyway, here we are. I was walking a little bit more slowly because of my shoes. And I'm kind of glad. I thought I'd be out here for closer to an hour. But it's only 38, close to 40 minutes. And it's raining a little bit more here than it was a couple blocks ago. And I will, switch up my shoes, do what I need to do, and that's that. So, all right, 80 Lumber, helping you build with excellence. So I was so desperate when living in Florida to find gainful employment that I actually went on to get a CDL Class A. This is something that you do when you're incredibly desperate, and I mean super desperate. I worked in various positions in Gainesville and weird things kept happening. It's like, I wish people could see, like I wish I had a camera for every classroom I entered as a substitute teacher. If you could see the stuff that, like, it starts to get into supernatural realms, so we'll just leave it at that. It's like, this is weird, but I do know that you don't want to wind up on a viral TikTok video looking like a Karen, you know what I mean? So, anyway, I actually did this because they had a female recruiter who was very convincing. By the way, I want to count, I know she had to do her job. She thought she was a bulldog. I was like, girlfriend, if you wound up here in Philly, you'd be squashed like a bug right quick. I think it's hilarious. You know, she's just selling people to come in to go to trucking school. But anyway, took the Greyhound bus all the way out there. Also, okay, one, if you're female, I don't care how tough you are, don't go to trucking school. Two, if you're female, or if you're anyone, do not ride Greyhound across the nation. That's it. That's enough to slaughter someone. So, and that's normal slaughter, not supernatural slaughter. Although supernatural things happen because a snowstorm came in, the bus driver took a different route. There were people who wondered why he took the rougher route. We went around Breckenridge and everything, some kind of crazy loop. We had to stop and stay in a hotel while the storm passed. That rarely happens when people are shipped out. This was December, Christmas time, 2019. Anyway, I made it through. You have to go through all kinds of preliminary things. In order to get into the school, you have to pass tests at the DMV and you have to pay for those, which is a pain. Then you have to do a health thing. Then you get out there, then you take all these tests. The information is all inconsistent and everything. So it's like, did you mean air brakes this or that? You know, so that it's very confusing. I'm very meticulous, so it's like, well, here it says this and there it says that, and on the test somebody's going to fail if they buy one or the other and it's the wrong one. So anyway, total, you know, I was desperate, but I was in Salt Lake City, Utah, CR England. Wrap up the test and everything. The only thing left would have been like to actually get it on your license, which you have to pay for. And it is on my license. I have a Florida license. It actually says that I will keep it for life just to prove that it, guy slipped there. Just to prove that I have it, that I earned it. And you know, it's like a dorm style out there. So you're supposed to get a female trainer. Well, the best idea is to get a female trainer. They didn't have any all of a sudden. We won't get into it. I wound up with a double whammy of the female menstrual cycle, which almost was like, you will not be going out there on these trucks. We saw how these people behaved. Even one of the teachers who took us out on a driving test did a whole show. He dressed up as like some you know, Shiraka member from some whatever Ariake band, whatever those things are called. You know, we might as well put on a sombrero. And he was only like 4'8", so he had blocks on his on his shoes or accelerator. Mariachi band, thank you. That's how bad that was. And it's like, this is life-threatening. That too is life-threatening. And it's like, I don't want to admit defeat, but I got to go back. And I had a double, triple whammy of menstrual cycle.